I think F1, like we say in the beginning, F1 is having that we race as one batch, and by having that doesn't change anything. You have to actually do some action.
Welcome back, everybody, to a surprising episode of F1Talk. We just were talking in our video yesterday about how all of a sudden some of these, historic figures from F1 all decided to kind of come out of the woodwork and kind of crap all over Lewis Hamilton. And then today, literally in the news, we have this resurrected interview from Nelson Piquet, three-time, world champion, in an interview, using what seems to be racial slurs against Lewis Hamilton. So it's very interesting. Again, after the guys, and I'm corrected, second podium of the season, all of a sudden there seems to be this media onslaught against him. So there's a little bit to unpack here, but Joe, give us your initial reactions to the news.
Well, when I saw the news, I was very disgusted about it. But
Yeah.
but then I actually seen some comments and they says that you didn't, because Nelson Piquet, I think he's speaking in his formal language, which is,
Yes.
I don't know, Brazilian.
Brazilian Portuguese. Yeah.
Yeah. So in that notes, I don't know exactly. I have to see because I haven't seen the exact straight translation from Nelson Piquet himself from Brazilian Portuguese to English. So maybe because I speak Chinese, I will speak Mandarin, and sometimes when I say something, it's going to be really hard for them to transfer into English.
Right.
So there's that catch, like there's that pros and cons. So I don't know. I don't know if he mean by actual discriminate Hamilton or not.
Yeah.
So that's my first reactions. But at the same time, whether or not he says anything to Lewis Hamilton, I still think that FIA and Formula One needs to fix this. Like the we race as one campaign.
Yeah.
In a way that everybody is welcome, everybody is comfortable, and also because in order to say that kind of stuff, you need to have that thing in mind, and for a person to think of that kind of stuff to say, he might already have a problem in his mind. Yeah, that's my first reactions, which is a long reactions.
Well, no, and it's I think actually you have a very tempered, I would say, response to this exact issue, being somebody who speaks multiple languages, and I don't. I had the opportunity to learn when I was a kid, but I was very stubborn. I was a bad kid. But incidentally enough, actually, I have spent some time in Brazil. I did work down in Brazil when I was in college doing an internship. I have some Brazilian friends who are some of my closest friends in the world, actually. And so I have a mixed take on this issue, to be honest. So, okay, let's look at Nelson Piquet kind of as an individual outside of his culture, right? His daughter is dating Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
And
Kelly
these
Piquet.
comments came immediately after Silverstone.
Yeah.
So more likely than not, he was responding in the negative to the series of events that happened in Silverstone, which is very funny because there was just a poll on like F1 Instagram resurrecting the issue, saying whose fault it was. And last I checked, it was like 70-30 saying it was Hamilton's fault. Which is really funny. Like, why resurrect that issue in 2022?
2022.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this piece of news came, few days later. But regardless, so Nelson Piquet absolutely was of the opinion that Hamilton was to blame for the incident in Silverstone last year, right? And he also has the additional fuel in his fire because his daughter is dating the guy, who experienced a 50G crash, right?
Yeah.
So that's his mindset. Now, let's throw in the cultural element. Brazil is a very sort of amazing place. I love it. But you have kind of two distinct groups. You have the Brazilian Portuguese by blood and by like history, genetics, and you have the Brazilian Africans by blood and by genetics. And there, unfortunately, tends to be a fair amount of wealth disparity between these two. And in this particular case, I can see him being a little bit biased because of this kind of cultural socioeconomic disparity, right? I did spend a fair amount of time in the favelas, which is the slums, when I was in Brazil, and you don't tend to see almost any Brazilian Portuguese there, unless they're people who are offering aid or social services. They don't tend to be endemic to the favelas, right? So this tends to create a sort of dichotomy within their society that these are the low-class people, these are the high-class people. And he being an old guy, I can see that kind of mentality potentially, and I'm not claiming this is true, but could be potentially entrenched in his mindset. So his word choice is very interesting because there are some tweaks in Brazilian Portuguese where you will kind of make somebody like, oh, you call him the small guy because he's younger than you, right? But he was also talking about other drivers by name and not Hamilton. So I am inclined to say that there may have been, let me rephrase, not may, there was a high likelihood that these were racially sort of biased comments.
I 100% understand what you mean because when you refer someone by name, you respect them. But if you refer someone by something else, which is different, it can go other way.
Very true, and even the term that he used is sort of contextual. Like you would say that to somebody that you were friends with, and it wouldn't have a negative context. It's like when black guys in the United States refer to each other as like my N-word. Yeah, that's not negative. But if a Caucasian or anybody else,
or us saying that,
exactly, immediately, boom, the context changes.
Yeah, or it feels like if we say something like, if I hate someone, and then if I don't like someone, I will say something like, this dude, this guy, this dude, this let's say this Kevin dude, this Kevin guy.
Yeah.
And then that will immediately feels like I'm like on the attack directions. But if he's my friend, I will say it the same way. But they will not feel like I'm attacking them. It's the same mentality.
Right. And then especially if you used his ethnicity in that comment, right?
Right.
If you turn around and said, "Oh, this white dude."
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
Or this black dude, or that Middle Eastern dude. Okay, well, why is his race part of the conversation now?
Yeah.
And for those of you guys who will say, okay, then why did we refer to the ethnicity of the people in our last video? Well, because those old white dudes were coming out of the woodwork to crap on the black dude.
Yeah.
So, it's very interesting, man. And I 100% agree with you. One of the things that has been some of the most fun in knowing people from many different cultures, right? I have friends from Japan, from India, from Germany, from Greece, from Egypt, from Saudi Arabia, from all over Asia, Taiwan, China, South Korea, Indonesia. Hell, I dated a girl from Indonesia. From even all parts of the United States, is that, you can rib each other about each other's culture. Right. But you also learn that there is still a high level of racism that exists in the world. A very high level. And it's used to exclude and denigrate people. And I just don't think there's a place for that in F1.
And I think F1, like we say in the beginning, F1 is having that we race as one batch, and by having that doesn't change anything. You have to actually do some action, you have to actually pursue in a direction where get rid of all this hatred or
right.
And because by having the graphic doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. No, good point, right? Like, you just now when you were saying that, it sounds very interesting, like very funny, because it's like, okay, it's a good opportunity for PR to say, oh no, we stand as one. Oh, we denounce these, racist statements. But like, why not ban the guy from showing up to any F1 race for like the next 3 to 5 races?
Yeah.
Right now, why not actually slap him with like, okay, you want to say this kind of horrible stuff? You're not welcome at our events. We don't care if your daughter is dating, the current world champion. Like, like, take some action.
Yeah, take some action. And FIA is FIA, man. They are just not gonna do anything. And instead, they're gonna go back to purposing and jewelry. Of course. And Hamilton is just because he has been facing this situation for his life, because from the beginning of his career,
he was karting.
And actually a lot of the drivers stand up for him. Even George Russell says he's so proud of Hamilton. And and then why do you have to bring back Silverstone? And also, have you seen anything before Silverstone? Do you know what happened before Silverstone?
Yeah.
What causes the incident, and why people think this is either whose fault is it? Either is Hamilton or Max. But you have to see the whole picture, not just a single race, single accident, and start blaming on people. Start F on people,
Yeah. No, it's just interesting because, again, like, for me, it's part of this nearly week-long, working week-long narrative that has just been going on recently of just people coming out and crapping all over Hamilton. And I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
feels too coordinated, right? Like literally, like we were saying in our last video, we had comments on the 23rd, the 24th, the 26th, and now it's the 28th, and every other day now, there just seems to be something coming out anti-Hamilton. And
it's manipulated. Why? It's manipulated by FIA.
Yeah, I'm sure the conspiracy theorists would agree.
Yep. If you guys know what I'm talking about, it's manipulated.
But geez, like it's a little too strange to me. So
it's just too consistent, and it's just too coincident. Way too coincident.
Yeah.
It feels like it's scripted somehow.
Right. Like it's something definitely seems off.
It feels like
why all of a sudden.
Yeah, it feels like first is I remember Mark Webber say something about it before. Mark Webber, and then now Nico Rosberg, and then Jackie Stewart, and then Bernie Eccleston, and who else?
Jacques Villeneuve,
and now Nelson Piquet. It's like constantly, and then for me, and all these people are retired, and all these people, like I don't know if Mark Webber, like I don't know his opinions on Hamilton, but it feels like all these people have the same goal.
Yeah. I mean, again, like I get it, like if you're a fan, but
and also they are all retired and they are all old. What a coincidence, right?
I find it to be strange.
Yeah, it's very strange. But it's very strange.
Let us know what you think down in the comments, and let's kind of just continue discussing this issue. If you are Brazilian, please throw in some perspective. I can't say at all that I am an expert on Brazilian Portuguese or Brazilian culture. I can just express my unique opportunity that I had and my limited exposure as an outsider. But really, if you are, Brazilian living in Brazil, or even an expat, please give us your perspective. It would only help to inform the discussion and to inform anybody in the comments.
For sure.
And if you have something of worth to say, I'll pin your comment, honestly, because I think it's important that we talk about this practically. And as Joe pointed out, there are just some things from other languages that just will not translate easily or well.
Because we actually want to have a fair and open-minded discussion. I don't want to just hate on somebody else that we don't have a proof or
right.
So and especially for me, I don't understand Brazil. I don't understand Brazilian. Yeah. So especially for us to have your opinions, native Brazilian opinions on the sentence or on the court itself, it will be very helpful for us to discuss and for us to have a different point of view on the current situation of Nelson Piquet's and Hamilton's campaign.
100%. So on that note, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. The usual request of every YouTuber out there. It genuinely helps us with the algorithm. Thank you for checking out our most recent videos. We really appreciate it. It hits us right here in the feels.
Yeah, we just want to grow. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe.
Yeah, please. All right, you guys, take care and thanks for tuning in.
Good night.